So I think what I'd like to do is just start, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay. So about myself, my name is Martin Felix. I'm 38 years old. I have a wife. I have 3 kids, ages 14, 11, and 4 years old. I'm from Nogales, Arizona. Preciosa Frontera.
Yeah.
That means beautiful border town.
Yeah.
I'm proud of my roots being from Nogales. So yeah, what I do is I'm a jail liaison.
Yeah.
I consider myself a peer support and advocate. I work in the judicial system, in the courts, but my main role is inside the jails and trying to divert and advocate for people to get them into treatment instead of prison or jails, or try to get them help. And also do other things in the community as well,
Yeah.
besides this new role that I've been doing for the past almost year.
Year.
Yeah.
So how did you get into that?
Actually, I was working at an agency, doing outreach and peer support, and I was doing a lot of things inside the community, and I was doing a lot of things inside the courts with my peers that I was supporting and walking side by side while they go through the judicial system, and I got to meet the judge. It's just amazing people that have been put on my life.
Yeah.
That has helped me get to the position where I'm at, where actually I would have never thought with my background that I would be holding what's called a county or government job, right, with benefits and all those things. And
Yeah.
so yeah, just the perfect people. Our judge, he's a champion. Judge Emilio Velasquez is his name. So he's the one that he got a grant. He got a grant for drug court, and he invited me to be part of his program, and that's how I got to come working for the government. So I was doing this job but through another agency, a behavioral health agency.
So tell me about your path, because you said I never thought that I would be here. So why? Tell me about your path, and then tell me about what does peer work mean?
Peer work, okay. So what I'm trying to say is a peer, someone with lived experience that suffered with addiction for many years. I've been in the system for many years. Actually, I'll go way back. I started using drugs at the age of, I was probably 11 years old. Graduation of 5th grade. Started dabbling with marijuana at a ceremony of graduation, transition from elementary to middle school.
Wow.
Started dabbling with marijuana. And it just kind of spiraled where I started experiencing at a very young age doing drugs. And my behavior was already kind of bad. I would always get into trouble. I was kind of a rebel kid. Unmanageable and stuff like that since a very young age. So I started just doing drugs at a very young age. When I became an adult, it got even worse. I got married at a very young age as well, 19 I think I was when I got married. And then my drug addiction kind of continued, but I didn't think it was that bad because I was having fun. And I never wanted to kind of stop doing that. It never was my intentions. But I would get a lot into trouble with the law. Everywhere in school or with the law, but I would get a lot into trouble. I've been arrested many times, 19 actually to be.
Wow, yeah.
I've been arrested 19 times. I've been to prison, and I've been to rehab many times. Probation used to send me to rehab. Many times I've been to rehab, been to detox, I've been to halfway houses and all those things. Being in trouble with probation or courts and stuff like that, I would try to get clean just so I could pass that part of my life of being in trouble. But really didn't think about ever getting clean completely. I really liked drugs. It went from doing marijuana, cocaine, alcohol, maybe pills. It went to harder drugs like methamphetamines, heroin. I like spiced a lot too, which is a synthetic kind of marijuana hallucinant and stuff like that. So it kind of grew and until I kind of was out of it at the age of 30, 31 years old.
So something happened, or some things happened. What was it that you said you were having fun and you didn't think you needed to change? So what was it that made that change for you? Why did you decide to go into recovery or start recovery? And you said you'd been in detoxes many times, as we know. Sometimes it's a process. But
It's a process.
What was, yeah.
So being born and raised in a border town, what I'm saying fun is I was kind of also involved into illegal activity. I liked the lifestyle. I really enjoyed the friends, the people that I was surrounding myself with, the whole world that became with addiction. I really liked it. I just felt that I belonged to something and that I was good at something. Actually, I was very good at doing the wrong things, but I was wrong at doing the good things.
Yeah.
So what happened is I started experiencing psychosis, seeing things that weren't there, hearing things that weren't there. I started getting into depression as well too, due to addiction. So it stopped getting fun. It stopped getting fun, and then I was having like suicidal thoughts, dabbling with drugs that I knew my body sometimes couldn't tolerate, but just see if I pass out, I pass out, if I overdose, which I did had a few overdose. But on August 9th of 2015, I remember that day correctly. So I had an overdose. Don't remember much about that day, but I woke up on August 13th, 3-4 days later at St. Mary's. It's a hospital in Tucson. And they told me that they had found me dead, that I've been in a coma for 3 or 4 days.
Wow.
I just woke up from that hospital bed in an ICU room with tubes all over my body, machines, and in a bad shape. I was weighing 120 some pounds, very skinny. But I remember waking up from that coma and feeling this peace that I've never felt I've never felt that peace. And I knew I was done there, I guess. I knew, like, my brain just felt connected to my body again. Like, it felt, I always felt different than everyone else. I felt disconnected from the world. And I guess that same day I felt like if I connected with self again, with me. And yeah, of course I had to go through the detox process, even though I woke up from the coma. It was 45 days of literally hell. Like, I kicked it with no medication. I've tried MAT services before, and I decided to just do it cold turkey, and it was hell. Like, I got seizures during that process of detox. I got kidney stones, shivers, my body ached. Like, it was bad. It was very bad. I was urinating blood and stuff like that. It was just very horrible. But I would tell myself, you just have to go through this one more last time, after this, like, it'll be over. And sleepless nights, it was a bad withdrawal process, actually.
Yeah.
And I try not to ever forget that process, the detox, that I never want to go through that again.
Yeah.
And by then I had nowhere else to go. I was actually out on parole. I remember calling my parole officer and telling her that what happened. Maybe if she sent me back to prison so I could have a bed, have a bed, food, shelter. So she told me that I knew how to survive in the system, either rehabs or jails, and she encouraged me to seek help, which I did. I went to this program called Salvation Army, and I've been to this program before, and I actually kind of begged them to allow me to go in, which they did, and that's where all my recovery journey kind of started. For the first time, I was being open-minded.
So when you were ready to go, and you'd been there before but weren't ready,
or didn't want to,
right?
Or maybe wanted to but couldn't, So I've kind of changed perspectives of that, so maybe this time I wanted to, and I knew I had to. If not, I was gonna die like this.
Yeah.
So there was no choice. Like, it was, because they used to tell me, like, jails, institutions, and death, and before, like, people would prey on me. Courts would try to threaten me, and will try to counsel me in therapy, but like, nothing worked for me because I didn't want to. Like, nothing scared me. Nothing really. Even if my mom cried at me, my wife threatened me to leave me, my kids, like, I could play the part, but being completely honest, I really didn't care, like, because when drugs called me, like, it doesn't matter. I answer, you know, I go. It doesn't matter if I'm at a chapel, if I'm at a church, or if I'm at wherever I'm at. Like, drugs had a big hold on me for many years.
Yeah.
So I guess at that time I was just like ready to live, and it was fearful because I didn't know what was coming next.
Yeah, sort of how to live, right?
How to
I
live.
mean, it sounds like you didn't really have the experience of raising your children. I mean, where were you in terms of, are you still married to the same person?
Yes.
Wow, so that's, I'd love to hear about that. Like, how have you kept your family unit together, and the support from your family, and also the support that you're giving your family? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
So I did put my family through a lot, especially my mother, my father, you know, my sister, my wife, my kids, and they were very supportive. But I noticed towards the end of my addiction, they were already tired.
Yeah.
They were already just exhausted of dealing with me, and probably scared too, you know. So that's been, I guess, my hardest process in my recovery journey. Adapting back to my family, you know, I wasn't very old to be that husband part, you know, and be that parent and go to school and do all these kind of things. Even though I might have probably was doing it, it wasn't real.
Present.
Yeah, I wasn't present.
Yeah.
You know, maybe body was present, but mind
Yeah.
wasn't there. I had to be under the influence to do any kind of things. So all that was new. My wife started taking the kids to me when I was at this rehab, and we thought that we were done. We were just done too much damage, that the relationship was over. But she would take the kids, and she was supporting me, taking me hygienic, whatever things I needed, and would go visit me. And then there was family times where they would go, and I was there through the holidays, and they would go visit me. And I guess I had to kind of prove myself that this time was serious.
Yeah, I have a question about sort of self-love, and you know, you're building this relationship with your wife and your children, and rebuilding your relationship with your family. How about you looking, you know, you're doing peer work now, which is really showing love to other people.
Exactly.
How do you care for yourself, and how do you keep your sort of recovery on the forefront?
Well, I try to put myself first now. If I'm not right, I can give what I don't have, right?
Yeah.
So I have to put myself. But I found a purpose in doing this job and helping others, because when I got sober, when all that happened, I was scared. I didn't know what to do. And when I heard about peer support, that I could make a living out of it, it kind of sparked something like, I want to use my story to help others.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was safe there on that day of the overdose for this reason.
Yeah.
Like, it happened for a reason. And even though I was loved, my family loved me, I never felt love, though. Even though I was probably part of this human race, you know, part of this world, I never felt part. I always felt different, disconnected.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I just felt that way,
Yeah.
you know? So when I started going through my early recovery stages, I started loving on myself. I remember I couldn't see myself in the mirror. I didn't like the reflection that was coming back. And I couldn't see myself in the mirror. And I remember writing one time, I want to see myself in the mirror and really love that person. So as time was going, I started feeling proud of myself, and things were, okay, I'm starting to like this being sober thing, you know?
Yeah.
I started loving myself, treating myself, and I started changing differently, started talking differently, a whole person change kind of approach. And I didn't notice that that I haven't loved myself for so many years, you know. Someone that loves themselves doesn't put so many chemicals or puts themselves in risk, or does the things that I was doing, right? And I couldn't love others when I didn't love myself.
Yeah.
So even though I would say I loved my kids, kind of thinking back on it, maybe I didn't love them, you know. I would say I loved them, but I was just too under the influence of numbness, especially with hard drugs, to feel that love. Or I didn't know what love was. So it's been a process, but yeah, you're correct. I agree that love played a big role. I remember in early detox, I was going through a process, and there was this period where I would vomit, and I was just fell on the floor, shivering, going through withdrawals. And he's all like, I got you. And he was just, wasn't saying much, but he was treating me with love. I
So
could
there
feel
was a
that.
peer who was
There was
really
a peer
supporting you.
supporting me, yes.
Yeah.
So I remember telling him, like, why are you doing this to me? Like, you don't even know me. Why are you? He's like, because I was like you 11 months ago.
Wow.
So that kind of caught him. I'm like, and you work here, and this is a detox center, kind of like a hospital. And he kind of started sharing his experience with me.
Yeah.
And I started thinking, like, one day I want to do that. I want to
Yeah.
help others. And yeah, and thankfully it kind of started everything falling into place where I've been able to help others, being in a small community. A lot of people knew me when I wasn't doing good.
Yeah, so let me ask you about that. I mean, I think one of the things that's tough about rural America is baggage, right? People know you
Yes.
when you're at your worst.
Yes.
And now your life is different. You've built a community. What is the role of stigma? Like, what is stigma? What kind of stigmatizing behavior do you see in this rural community? And also, it's a Latino community, right?
Exactly.
So what does that role play?
Well, maybe thinking like people like me never change, that
Yeah.
I'm this kind of person and that I will always be this kind of person that could be kind of stigmatizing. And even I believe that at one time, I even stigmatized myself, like,
Yeah.
this is what I want to be, this is how I'm going to die, because I couldn't see any further. I thought that was the only thing I knew how to do. So, yeah, when I started getting sober and working in the field, I think like I had to prove myself. And being in a rural community, peer support wasn't really known here, and going to these agencies where I received services, right? Going to this jail where I was once arrested, going to this courts when I had to go to court. So these people, probation, were the same probation officers in kind of Martin, and he's trying, can we really trust it? So it was a process.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh yeah, he's clean, sober, let's give him an opportunity. And
Yeah, you had to prove yourself.
I had to prove myself to them, but to me, I had already proved myself. I knew
Yeah.
it was a process. I guess I was taking it how it was coming to me. Well,
Yeah.
so kind of just showing up, and telling I'm here if you ever have someone that might need help. I wanna.
So how
help
long have
them.
you been doing peer work?
6 years probably.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been 6 years now.
And
yeah.
what changes have you seen in the community from then?
Oh,
now.
I've seen a lot of changes in the community, even the approach of behavioral health agencies. So we're small communities, 2 behavioral health agencies. The approach of them and believing on peer support. Having a specialty provider, a peer-run agency here in our community now, right? That everyone that works there is a peer support. Getting peer support people, peer support certified. Having a peer support, someone with lived experience inside the courts and the jail working there, that's a huge step as well too,
Yeah.
Sometimes I pinch myself like thinking, is this real? Or when I walk inside the jail and to the office where I assess people, the scent and all that kind of triggers me too. But I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I'm just glad to be able to service our community, give back whatever I took from the community. It's just a way of making amends to my community,
Yeah.
and finding a purpose. I wanted to erase Nogales from my life. I said I'll never come back to Nogales.
Huh.
I just blamed this place.
Wow.
I blamed this place for me. And I was afraid to come and show my face again. And I never thought that I would be giving back to the community. And I learned that it wasn't the place, that it was me.
Wow.
That it was me, that even though if I was in another place, if I wanted to use, I was going to use. There was nothing stopping me. So when I came
you
back,
go wherever you are.
yeah, I can't escape myself, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I tried to escape myself many times, those, but yeah, I couldn't. So I'm glad to be part of this movement in the community, wherever I could throw my lived experience out there, if it has to do with MAT services, behavioral health, depression, anxiety, judicial system, jail. I think everything I've been through, I have somewhere to grab and throw in my 2 cents there. And I'm not afraid to voice it out. I found a purpose.
Yeah.
I found a purpose in life that I want. I don't want to stay quiet no more, and I want to, if I could do anything to change the approach in the judicial system, in the behavioral health, and whatever, I want to be there present and to be a part of that, and advocate and show that peer support is the special sauce for treatment. You know, it's not everything, but peer support plays a big role in treatment.
Yeah.
Having someone connected with peer support service where you can relate in a level that maybe a therapist couldn't relate, that even a priest, right? Anyone cannot relate
It's
in a
part
level.
of that process. It's
part of the
one of the
process.
tools
Exactly.
and a meaningful one.
Exactly. So I try to advocate for that. Use your peer supports. Find those peer support people in recovery. Give them an opportunity. And they'll be amazing. They'll do amazing things in the communities. That's where I try to advocate. If I ever get invited to go speak or something, and throw out that peer support, it is the special sauce of treatment, right? So.
Okay.